Miss Lily Leas, let me let me say this first. What do I remember about Lily? And I do remember her. I very because one of the things I remember about her was she was one of the most honest students I ever had. And there are some incidents we had, and she probably will remember them too, that showed dishonesty and everything. And I never forgot that. There was so much character there. Okay, Lil, start. You're graduated from Palm Beach Day School. Where do you go next? Take us on your trip.
Okay, here we go. And let me just say, Mr. Greco, that means so much. Thank you. And I think I know exactly what you're talking about.
You know what I mean? I remember, yeah. I've been here 54 years. Some kids, I don't even remember them. I don't, but there's some kids and incidents, certain things that I remember. Okay, go ahead.
All right, so I graduate. So I do kindergarten through ninth grade at Palm Beach Day. I leave in ninth grade and I head to Cardinal Newman High School. I follow my big brother over there and I get to captain their first ever girls lacrosse team, which was wonderful. Got to captain a bowling team too, which was pretty fun. Didn't have that at Palm Beach Day. And so I was there throughout high school, sophomore through senior year. I left and graduated, headed out to the West Coast, went to University of San Diego for some time. And then I actually left and transferred and ended up graduating from Florida Atlantic University in Boca Raton. Turns out I'm a Florida girl through and through. So this is where I was meant to be. I changed my major a few times. If Palm Beach Day taught me nothing else, it was a love of learning something new. So the fact in college that I could keep picking up new classes, I ended up gaining credits that would steer me towards one major and then towards another. But I think I need to credit Mrs. Close with where I finally landed, which was finance. I was a math tutor all through high school and college. I loved math. And so ended with a finance degree, summa cum laude, and got recruited right out of undergrad to work at NextEra Energy, so a large energy company based in Florida. They're a Fortune 200 company, and they brought me on as a tax analyst. So I was deep in spreadsheets, working on renewable energy, some exciting projects, but I needed to eventually break away from those spreadsheets. And then that's where I think the influence of you, Mr. Greco, comes in, is just a love of storytelling and ways to communicate different stories and aspects of people's lives. And so I was yearning for that sort of interaction and work, and I found that in public relations. So I got introduced to the owner of a PR company, and she brought me on as an event coordinator. And I thought, okay, I'll plan a few events. This could be fun, and ended up just falling in love with PR. I brought in their largest clients. I worked there for several years, and really my job was helping organizations tell their stories and pitching it and creating the news, essentially. And I loved it. So I did that for several years. And after a few years, I realized that I might be able to do this on my own. So I struck out and launched my own PR firm based in Palm Beach. And I grew that company from myself and a few accounts that I started with to over 30 accounts and a small team. Eventually, after a couple of years, I was approached with an offer to sell the company. So I sold the company. I guess I was in my mid-20s at this point. So I sold the company. And that's when I went back to school and went to graduate school at University of Florida and got my MBA, which I really enjoyed. Highly recommend to any students watching. I focused on competitive strategy, so a lot of game theory and some of those entrepreneurial pursuits that I had found that I really enjoyed. So coming out of MBA, again, got recruited by NextEra Energy. They were ready to take me back, another energy company, and they put me in a leadership development program. So I was there for 18 months working through everything from business management, managing the P&L and finance aspects of some of these renewable energy sites, to lobbying and actually developing wind, solar, and battery storage, which was super interesting. And enjoying that. I was very pregnant at the time, and my phone rang, and it was the Royal Poinciana Plaza in Palm Beach. And they said, hey, we've got some exciting things going on over here. how would you like to come run the place? And so they offered me a job as general manager. And so I left the energy industry and went over to the Royal Poinciana Plaza to run their on-site team, and ran that through its first full occupancy year. So I had over 50 tenants working in there, an incredible marketing operations team, all of which I oversaw, and just left there about a year and a half ago now. And I've been doing real estate full time. So following in the family footsteps, I now work alongside my aunt, Lily Pulitzer, her partner, Whitney McGurk, another alum, and my mom, of course, Minnie Pulitzer. So loving this so far, had amazing luck and been fortunate to hit the ground running. And that finds me where I am today.
There you are. And you are in that torrid real estate market, right?
I am thoroughly enjoying it. But yes, it's been eventful. And we actually just came through our company awards, and I was honored to receive a couple awards, including Rookie of the Year, as they named me, for nearly 30 million in sales last year. So been able to really hit the ground running.
I'm getting a couple calls every week. You know where I live? You know, in my house on Seabreeze.
I was just going to say, you're in the C Street still, right?
It's one of the oldest, 1921 it was built. It's a tear down. Everyone wants to buy it and tear it down, of course, and put a big thing on, etc. So they're coming around to me. 1966, I paid $30,000 for it.
Isn't that amazing?
And the last offer I got was $2.5 million.
Hold strong, Mr. Greco. You can get more. Hold strong.
So anyway, honey, so okay, now tell me about, you were married to
Sean for a Pelican of all things.
Yes. Well, my Lisa was Pelican captain, you know, my daughter.
Okay.
So you're married to Sean, and what does Sean do? He's in what?
So Sean has another entrepreneurial spirit. He has his own sales agency. He works for action sport brands like Vans is his biggest brand he works with. He's been honored as their rep of the year. So he's working with everyone from the boys club on the island and the girls club all the way to some very large accounts, doing Vans and some private label apparel as well.
Okay. So there you are. And how many months are you now?
Pregnant? Yes, I'm quite pregnant. I can't get the belly shot, but I'm more than halfway there. So just over.
Okay. What do you have? A little boy or girl already?
I have a little girl. Sean and I have a little girl. She's another Lillian, a fifth Lillian, but we call her Lula. Too many Lilies running around at the moment. So little Lula's 2.5, and I've got another, her baby sister on the way.
Oh my goodness. Okay, honey, so let's go back in time. Let's go back to Palm Beach and the things going on there. Let's see. From just hearing you talk, and I remember you were a good speaker. I remember that. And I imagine you've had to do a lot of speaking in your career so far. Did you find that speech helped you a lot, that you did?
Absolutely. The biggest thing is overcoming fear, which I think Palm Beach Day did such a good job of creating an environment where you're comfortable to be vulnerable. And I mean, it sounds silly, but I think about Palm Beach Day experiences so often, from the poetry contest where I bombed and messed up because I overachieved with the 47-line poem that I shouldn't have picked, all the way to, the Greek gods, to being President Nixon. I mean, there were just so many opportunities as a child where it wasn't scary, it was fun. And I think looking back on it now, all of that was building blocks to being able to stand up, whether it's in a boardroom or, make your big pitch to people in front of you. It just gave me a level of comfort, which I'm grateful for.
Do you remember your 10-minute final?
I think I blocked that one out. I can't recall what the 10-minute, what I ended up picking. No, that one I don't know.
But there were some tough assignments, because remember, 100% eye contact during the introduction, 100% during the conclusion, and 90% during the body of the speech. That's a hard thing to do. I remember a mother coming to me and telling me that you're asking those kids, they can't do that. You're asking them to do too much. So I said, well, I'll tell you what you do. Finals, 10-minute speeches are in 2 weeks. You come in and listen to all of them and listen. And as it turned out, I had, who was it? I'm trying to think of the girl. Names go. She got up there. It was a 10-minute speech, 1 minute each way, 9 to 11. 10 minutes, 5 seconds. 10 minutes, 5 seconds. And then she said, well, how do they do that? I said, they do that. And I know they can do that. I know one year, one of the kids asked me, Mr. Greco, did you ever give a speech that long? I said, no, that's the longest I gave was in college, 8 minutes, I think. They said, well, how do you think you could do? I said, I don't know. Let me try. So I worked to give a 10-minute speech. 11 minutes, 32 seconds.
I'm sure they enjoyed that.
Would come close. Okay, let's see. Do you remember your 75 lines you had to memorize? You remember those? Cyrano de Bergerac and Julius Caesar.
There were so many opportunities, whether it's monologues. I mean, I feel like there was always a new project where we were practicing. And I think that's the biggest thing, is there was not a sense of urgency, as in we needed to get this done or else. But there was a sense of pride that somehow you created and the teachers at Palm Beach Day created, where I'm going to practice this until I get it right to make sure I can show up and deliver the assignment. So they sort of blur together. So I don't remember all of them, but it's nice now, being married to Sean, is we swap notes. He remembers his speeches. He can probably tell you his 10-minute. Yes.
Yes. And then, of course, there were the sports. Right? What was your favorite sport?
So clearly from my career, you can tell I like taking on new things and trying new things. So I really enjoyed that I could switch sports, that we were able to do. I think it was 5 different sports a year. So my favorite was lacrosse. Which was I think that was the grand finale, or no, softball would have been the last one, but towards the end of the year. But it was fun to be able to try sports that otherwise, I probably wouldn't have picked up and played. They brought basketball on as an option for the girls when I was there. That was new. And so I remember choosing to play basketball instead of field hockey, which was fun. And I think I tried to get surfing as a sport. You were just starting to allow children who did equestrian and things like that permission to opt out of sports. So I tried to pitch my case for surfing being a sport, but no one was buying it at the time.
What were your field day memories?
Oh, field day was the best. I mean, ninth grade was so special when I was there. And I think it holds that significance, I imagine, still today. But ninth grade field day was sort of that culmination. It was at the end of the year still, and it was that culmination of everything at school that you've been working for. And so ninth grade year, I was Knowledge Bowl captain, and we won the Knowledge Bowl. And then we also won field day. So the Flamingos took both. So for me, that's like Super Bowl equivalent as a child. So that definitely stands out as the best field day memory. I don't remember being particularly good at the standing broad jump, which seemed to be always where I would get put, that or sort of a relay race. But again, I mean, talk about Palm Beach Day coming up in my life repetitively, but now having a daughter, we've talked about, when we send her to Palm Beach Day, is she going to be a flamingo or a pelican? And of course, Sean's deciding factor is we will have an internal family field day to decide which team she'll represent as a day schooler. Mm-hmm.
Yes, those were. Now let me refresh my mind, honey, because who were some of your classmates?
Sure. So I saw one classmate you interviewed was Palmer Rampell. So
Palmer. Okay, Palmer. Yes. Mm-hmm. Palmer. Now, where's Palmer? Is he still in England?
Oh, I was thinking I needed to catch up. I haven't seen his alumni video, but I'm sure he's accomplished many great things, because he stands out in my mind as someone who was just set for greatness. at a young age.
Palmer, yes. Who else?
So I had, let's see, Cy and Andrew Ryan were there. Lane Gaunt, Liz Evans, Preston Birtle.
Lane Gaunt. Was that it? Gaunt?
Gaunt. Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's right. I remember her. She had a sister, didn't she?
Angeline, yeah.
She had a sister, Lane. I remember Lane. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, Lane's wonderful. I'm trying to think who else was in our class. We had 18. Michael Horwitz, Jeremy Slow. Mm-hmm.
I remember Michael. Okay.
Yeah, it was a great class. 18 of us stuck around for ninth grade, which I think was a little unusual and was a pretty big class.
Because we've had one ninth grade, we had 3, I think.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
A lot of one-on-one instruction. That's good.
How about some of the other girls?
Yeah, so Liz, Preston, Lane, Lindsay Robertson. Trying to think who else was in our class. Okay, you know, as soon as I close off on this, they're all going to come flooding back to me. But you know, Liz and Preston, I see and hear from the most often. Lauren Young, she didn't stay for that long, but she was in the earlier years. It was a great class. We had good people and a lot of people who ended up staying around Palm Beach.
Yeah.
Or, you know, eventually, you know, leaving, maybe going up north and coming back, which was nice.
Yeah, you know, what I have found out, honey, is so many kids left, especially for New York.
Yes.
Came back and then decided to come back. So
that's it. See, I just skipped that step of leaving. I knew how good it was here.
Cut out the middleman. Excellent. Excellent.
Exactly.
Excellent. Yes. My goodness gracious. Seemed like just yesterday. So you graduated from ninth grade. That year was what, 19 what?
No, it would have been 2003.
2003.
It was a great class.
Lily Leas. There you are, honey.
That's me.
Robert Riva. Now,
Robert, of course.
I see Riva in the society pages a lot. I guess he's a Palm Beach. He gets around, doesn't he?
Well, in a wonderful way. Yes, he does. And his mom was, you know, very involved and local here as well.
Robert.
Great family.
Fritz Vandergrift.
Fritz, of course. How can I forget Fritz?
Yeah.
Yes. He brought vests and yellow shirts. I mean, he was changing up uniform options when we were here.
And Lauren Zeringer.
And Lauren, of course.
Mm-hmm. I remember Lauren. Yes. Yeah, that was a nice class. That was a nice class. So, hon, so there you are. You're right in the middle of this torrid real estate market. It's crazy, isn't it? Huh?
It is.
It's crazy.
Wonderfully crazy, yes.
2 days ago, I was coming out of the house, going to the car. My car is parked in my driveway. And a car pulls up right in front. And 2 guys are in it. And the guy leans out, he says, "You want to sell your house?" I'm joking around, honey. I said, "Yeah, you got $5 million?" He said, "Let's talk."
That's why I'm telling you to hold strong.
I take him seriously because I said, "This is a teardown." He said, "Let's talk." Well, there's no more land over here, dear. There's no more land.
That's my pitch, Mr. Greco. You've got it. Once it's gone, it's gone. Yeah,
it's gone. No more land. And you can't go above 6 stories. I love that. We can't become Fort Lauderdale or Boca Raton. We can't do that.
Right.
Well, anyway, so when are you going to get involved in politics?
In politics?
Yes. When are you going to be one of our councilwomen, become one of our mayors? I can't think of anyone better. I can't think of anyone I'd rather see there. Huh?
Thank you. That means a lot. That's not on the agenda at the moment. I've got to say. At the moment,
but you keep it in mind.
I will.
It in mind because of course. Where do you live, hon? Do you live in town here or where?
At West Palm. I'm in. They call it So-So, south of Southern in West Palm Beach.
South of Southern. Okay. All right.
It's like a mini Palm Beach Day community over there. It's lots of young families, lots of Palm Beach Day graduates. Everyone's talking about, and everyone has now next generations of kids and where they're sending them. So is a good Palm Beach Day community over there.
Yeah. Before we forget, do you remember the incident I remember about you?
So I don't know if we're talking about the same one, but when Mrs. Close emailed me and I was thinking, what might we talk about? And I was trying to think about the impression that Mr. Greco, you've made on me as a teacher. And the incident that I immediately thought of, which maybe is what you're thinking of, was around reading of Spark Notes and confessing to reading Spark Notes, and how a class came together and we all admitted. So the story goes, so Spark Notes were just coming out as a thing. So Cliff Notes, you'd have to go to a store and buy. I mean, that felt like real cheating if you were going to go buy Cliff Notes. But we were in school at the age of the internet. So Spark Notes was just a website you can click on. And so out of naive curiosity, I think a lot of people were finding themselves clicking on it. And I remember sitting in that, I think maybe the computer lab. I don't know where you're sitting, but we were sitting in a computer lab by Mr. Greco's classroom, and you came in, and at least this is how my memory goes. We were all working on the computer lab, writing a paper related to the book, and you essentially said, if you were reading this, that is cheating. It's dishonorable, more or less. And I would ask that you admit to it, and you're going to be penalized because of it. And you're going to get a 3 in effort, which was not ideal because that essentially takes you out of the running for E-Club. At least this is my memory. I think I have this right. So, you wouldn't be an E-Club, which we all wanted, of course, unless you got a 1 the next quarter or next semester, which is hard to get. And collectively as a class, at least how I remember it, but I remember admitting to it. And I feel like one by one, we all admitted to it. And it wasn't out of pressure. It was not out of any sort of peer pressure or pressure from you, simply you reminding us to do the right thing and that we should have consequences if we didn't do the right thing. And at least in my memory, the entire class admitted to it, myself being one. We are all penalized, knowing we took ourselves out of E-Club, but knowing it was the right thing to do. And somehow we, provided enough effort to actually achieve the 1 the next quarter or semester. I can't recall how it was set up to get E-Club. But for me, the fact that at 32, I'm still thinking about that, the reason it was so impactful is, especially as a parent, but thinking of you, Mr. Greco, as a leader and a teacher, of how you got a, 12-year-old, 13-year-old, however old I was at the time, to be able to look internally and consider integrity and honesty and yes, I'm not going to do this the wrong way. If I'm going to do it, it's going to be right, whether that's perfect or not, whether that affects my E-Club or not. And so I remember fessing up, and clearly it stuck with me, and that the importance of telling the truth and all of that. So thank you. And I try to now Mr. Greco, my 2.5-year-old, which doesn't seem to work, but I'm trying.
You had everything right, only you forgot one thing.
Okay.
One thing. You want to know what that one thing was, honey? You were the first to come up. You were the first to come up. And then it was the next day or after that some of the others, but you were the first.
I didn't realize that.
And that's what I remember, okay? So
well, thank you for the opportunity to look in the mirror and kind of analyze who I want to be as a person. So thank you.
Now I want you to promise me something, though, that after you all have your baby and this COVID is over and everything, you'll give me a call and let me take you out to lunch.
I would love that so much, Mr. Greco.
Will you promise me you'll do that?
I promise.
Okay.